So, the next part, I wanted to talk about Star Trek and the no money thing. So that's what this is about. So I'm a big time Star Trek fan, and there's this idea mentioned in Star Trek where there's this new concept in the future where that people do not have to make money, or money is not the way that things operate from anymore. And of course, if you look deep into the whole thing about money in Star Trek, that sort of changes with the new generation and going into the new movies. Well, what happened there was a time there whenever money was not necessary, or this new era that people were in, money was not a thing. And this was as late as the movie Star Trek IV. The Enterprise crew returned to Earth to find some of those big fish to return to the future Earth to solve a problem. In Earth's past, there's some big confusion by Captain Kirk whenever he encountered money problems. They tried to get on and use a bus when he traveled back. So, the confusion over trying to use the bus and make change. They were told they had to have exact change, and they didn't understand that concept. They was asking, what do they mean, exact change? So that proves that money was not a big deal in the future where the crew come from. So we, however, were introduced to the race of people called the Ferengi. Yeah, what's with that? So we see on Star Trek Enterprise, went back before the original Star Trek, and they encountered the Ferengi. So, however you feel about that, it introduced the issue of money once more, because that's what the Ferengi do. They're after gold and such things. So if the Ferengi were not enough, then there's all those other worlds that we found, that they found. They still used money in those worlds. So now what? The issue and idea of no money worlds is a pretty big issue. Thinking about taking money out of the equation. It would require its own complete book, actually. Not just this note devoted to this subject. But I have to add, there's something interesting about how it may relate to the law of attraction. So in a no-money world, what are we attracting? In my own current situation, I am rather in debt, and it's related to healthcare. I'm not the only person that happens to nowadays. The main reason for this is that I live in a country, the United States of America, that currently cannot seem to make it so that people can get free health care. The very notion of free health care just doesn't seem to fit with corporate America. Only today I was notified that I would have health care starting in January. The reason I didn't have health care before this, using the ACA or Obamacare, was because it was so convoluted and hard to understand by an everyday American that I was not able to process it and put it all the way through using their web page. And I can chalk it up to staying positive, possibly even manifesting the solution. So this does not make corporate America bad, but it certainly is an issue for this country that, considering the other countries like Britain seem to have tackled and done well in doing so, the problem with healthcare. Making it more free, I choose to believe that anything the new president will do will not negate anything that I've said about having Obamacare, hopefully. But we'll wait and see. I got to stay positive. I will want to manifest that it continues well into the future. So even if I went to Canada, I would not have to pay for my health care there, even if there are a few facts about that issue that I'm not aware of yet. It would certainly not be quite as bad as it is here in the United States. And I might add, if you watch Star Trek IV, Going Home, the name of the film, you will note the part there where that they encountered the healthcare system, and of course, Bones, the doctor, had his own words to say about it, even to the point of offering the poor woman in the hallway a pill that took care of her problem with kidney dialysis. Something to hope for. If the Star Trek crew of the Enterprise would have stuck around the hospital a little bit longer, they would have encountered the whole issue of having to pay for this health care. I wish they would have gotten to do that. So I also want to touch on the contrast. I must address one of the missing details that I so often see in the self-help community regarding the law of attraction and such things. It is the contrast issue. For example, you cannot see things in a picture unless you have the contrast, the difference between the blacks and the whites of the picture. It would either be all white or all black. So you need the contrast. The point is that you can't want something better unless you've already had something worse. Now, if you hit rock bottom, then hey, there's no other way to go but up. This is not to say that you need to hit rock bottom. That's not necessary reason why you would have to hit rock bottom. You could just go up from where you're currently at now. I want to return now to this money thing. Anyone that currently gets paid for things that they do are not going to like any concept about not getting paid. However, what do people generally mean when they speak of getting paid? There are multiple arguments against the barter system, and I don't want to go into barter too far now. I do want to say that if you decide to try to attract something that you want, if it was a barter system, you would not be wanting to attract a certain amount of money. The reason we jump to thinking about money is because you don't have to define and point at what you want to buy with it. If we ever do get a fully automated world like so many people are talking like we're going to do with artificial intelligence, this also means fewer, if any, workers to build things. There will be no one to buy these objects, these things that are made. Now, I suppose then they would just be giving away to people, things, and giving them to people that need them. And here's where we come to the question. Who decides who needs the objects? Who decides who needs the services? And I'm sorry because I'm getting away from the whole concept and connection of this law of attraction thing once again. Maybe I simply need to attract the right answers to these problems. And of course, if I do, I will add that to any further versions of what I'm doing here on YouTube. And so, thanks for listening, and I will talk to you next time.